The second quarter of 2026 just ended, and it turned out to be the best 3 months for US stocks since the pandemic recovery in 2020. The S&P 500 gained almost 15%, the Nasdaq gained over 21%, and the Dow had its best quarter since 2022. Hello. Good day to all the listeners out there. Welcome back to Diligence Desk. This is your daily wrap for Tuesday, June the 30th, 2026. Today we close out the second quarter with some strong numbers. Take a look at Nike's earnings, beat on paper but the market wasn't impressed, and talk about why SpaceX joining the Nasdaq 100 next week matters even if you don't own the stock. Let's get into it. Quick reminder, everything here is for education and entertainment, not financial advice. I'm not a licensed advisor. Do your own research or talk to a licensed professional before making any investment decisions. Let's look at where we close. A solid green day across the board and more importantly, a historic quarter. The Dow closed at 52,319, up 136.46 points or 0.26%, its second consecutive record close. The S&P added 0.79%, closing at 7,499. The Nasdaq was the day's leader again, up at 1.52%, closing at 26,214. Semiconductors had a very strong session, with the chip index up nearly 4% on the day. The Russell 2000 small caps gained 0.46%, closing at 3,024. But the real story today isn't the daily numbers, it's the quarterly scorecard. Q2 2026 is now officially closed, and it was exceptional. The S&P 500 gained nearly 15% for the quarter, the Nasdaq gained over 21%, the Dow gained nearly 13%, and the Russell 2000 is up over 21% for the first half of the year, a performance not seen since 1991. What drove it? AI enthusiasm, strong earnings, easing geopolitical tensions with Iran, and a rebound in tech after a rough patch in June. We'll discuss more in today's stories. Story 1 is the big picture, the quarter that just ended. To put Q2 2026 in context, the S&P 500 gained almost 15% and the Nasdaq gained over 21%. These are the best 3 months performances both indexes since the pandemic recovery in the second quarter of 2020. The Dow had its best quarter since late 2022. What drove it? A few things working together. First, AI. The enthusiasm around artificial intelligence showed no sign of slowing, and chip stocks in particular were extraordinary. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index gained nearly 88% for the quarter alone, its best quarter on record. Second, earnings. S&P 500 companies grew profits by about 28% during the reporting season. That's well ahead of what analysts expected. Third, the gradual easing of the Iran war premium. Oil prices came off their highs after the US and Iran signed a memorandum of understanding in mid-June, which took some inflation pressure off the table. Now, the honest context, a 21% Nasdaq quarter sounds extraordinary, but data from JP Morgan shows the average investor consistently earns far less than the index because people tend to get excited after big runs and then sell during pullbacks. The better lesson here is simple. If you stayed in, you did well. The market rewarded patience this quarter. Looking ahead, Bank of America strategists suggest the second half could see a rotation into more value-oriented sectors like energy and financials. But that's a conversation for another episode. Story 2, Nike reported its fiscal fourth quarter results after the close today, and it's a classic case of beating expectations on paper but not convincing the market. Here is what Nike reported. Revenue came in at $10.97 billion, down about 1% year-on-year, but ahead of analyst estimates. Adjusted earnings per share were 20 cents, well above the 13 cents analysts expected. On the surface, a beat. So why did the stock drop as much as 8% after hours? A few reasons. First, the big gap earnings number of 72 cents per share included a 52-cent benefit from an expected refund on IEEPA tariffs. Strip that out and the profitability picture looks much more modest. Second, the CFO flagged that Nike's consumer is, quote, under pressure. That's not the language investors want to hear when they're hoping for signs that the turnaround is gaining momentum. Third, guidance for the upcoming quarter was cautious. Gross margin for Q1 fiscal 2027 was described as slightly positive, and markets had hoped for more. The deeper story is that Nike is still in the middle of a painful turnaround under CEO Elliott Hill. Greater China revenue was down 12%. Nike Direct, their own stores and app, was down 7%. That matters because Direct is supposed to be the growth engine. So yes, they beat, but a beat built on a one-time tariff refund and cautious guidance is not the same as a structural recovery. The market made that distinction tonight. Story 3 is one for QQQ holders, and frankly for anyone who wants to understand how index inclusion works. Nasdaq confirmed that SpaceX will join the Nasdaq 100 effective before the market opens on July 7th. That's less than 4 weeks after its June 12th IPO, making it one of the fastest ever Nasdaq 100 inclusions in history. How did this happen so fast? Nasdaq rewrote its eligibility rules this year, creating a fast track for newly listed companies that rank in the top 40 by market cap. SpaceX, which went public at a valuation of $1.75 trillion, the largest IPO in history, easily qualified. Now here is what this means practically. Over $800 billion is benchmarked to Nasdaq 100. That includes the Invesco QQQ Trust, one of the most actively traded ETFs in the world. All of those funds are now required to buy SpaceX shares, not because they chose to, but because the index says so. JP Morgan estimates that amounts to about $4.3 billion in forced passive buying. If you hold QQQ, you are about to own a piece of SpaceX automatically. Now, the important nuance: forced buying creates short-term price support. It doesn't change the underlying business. Morningstar's chief equity strategist has already said they believe SpaceX is overvalued at current prices. SpaceX is still unprofitable. It reported a net loss of nearly $5 billion last year. The S&P 500 will not include SpaceX. S&P Global declined to follow Nasdaq's lead and change its rules, so SpaceX won't be in the S&P 500 for at least another year. Watch the close on July 6th and the open on July 7th. If you're in Nasdaq 100 funds, that's when the rebalancing happens, and volatility tends to spike around these inclusion events. Before we wrap up the rest of the week, short one this week. Markets closed Friday for the 4th of July. Wednesday, ADP private payrolls for June. This is the warm-up act for Thursday's main event. Thursday is the big one. It's normally a Friday release but moved to Thursday because of the holiday. May showed 172,000 jobs added, which beat expectations. The Fed is watching this closely. Strong jobs data reduces the case for rate cuts. Also on Thursday, US and Iran technical talks continue in Qatar. The Strait of Hormuz situation is still not fully resolved. Any escalation would hit oil prices fast. One update on today's data: JOLTS job openings for May were released today. 7.88 million openings. That's a nearly 2-year high. The labor market is showing more resilience than expected, which is good news overall, but means the Fed may be in no rush to cut. Friday, markets closed Independence Day, and Tuesday, July 7th, SpaceX officially joins the Nasdaq 100. As we discuss, watch for volatility in QQQ and other Nasdaq 100 tracking funds around that rebalance window. That's the daily wrap for Tuesday, June the 30th, the last day of what turned out to be a remarkable quarter. Quick portfolio note: NVIDIA's Smart Score remains at 9, still comfortably above our methodology floor of 8. No action taken. We watch, we stay disciplined, and we let the thesis play out. That's what the challenge is about. I'd love to hear from you. Which Q2 story surprised you most? The size of the Nasdaq rally, Nike's numbers, SpaceX breaking into the index this fast? Drop a comment below. If this was useful, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one, especially Thursday when the jobs report drops. Have a good day.